Daddy still lived at Fry Canyon. You know, he worked. He'd come in every 2 or 3 weeks. And he did that for 4 or 5 years, and then they made him a. He went out all over after that. They closed that down, and he went to Nevada and New Mexico and all the western states trying to buy ore or whatever for the company until Texaco and New Jersey dissolved, and then Jimmy was shipped to Gilman. But he worked out of town for 9 years.
What was your first impression of Gilman?
I didn't have a first impression of Gilman. You know, it was. It was beautiful. It
Well, it was a little mining town up on the side of a cliff, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a mining town. The mine was beneath all the buildings.
Whoops, battery's gone down.
Oh.
All right, what about the mine?
Well, your daddy was transferred to the mine, and I don't remember, but Beth was 3 years old. And the mine was hundreds and hundreds of feet above all the town, and there were 3 layers of roads, and we got the nurse's house. There was no room, we didn't have any place to stay, and they moved us right by the hospital, and we got the nurse's house, and we had steam heat that came from the hospital. We had steam heat that came from the hospital.
So we didn't have to shovel coal.
No, and we didn't have any. We didn't have to pay the heat. The heat was already at the hospital, and it ran right into the nurse's home. And our rent was $50 a month.
Was that good?
Yes, it was good. A lot of people paid $100 plus all their heat. They'd have 100 or so heating bill, but we didn't have to pay any heating bill at all. And it was real, real cold, and you could look up at the mountain, and you could see a cross on the mountain. It was it was a natural cross on the top of this mountain. And on the other side of our mountain was Vail, Colorado. It was really, really an interesting place. And you'd go walk to the post office, and you could see there would be deer. The people that lived below us, we were on the 3rd level below. There was 1, 2, 3, and they had steps going up to each road. But on the lower level, the people could sit on their front porch and shoot deer.
On their front porch?
Oh, from their front porch, the people that lived in the lower level from us. See, the main road separated us from the lower level. There was 2 levels of houses below us, and then there were 3 levels above us. And they had to put your piano up from the bottom, from the main road, up the hill by some kind of thing, and put it in the basement, because we had a basement. And but the men had to work way down, and your daddy wasn't happy about working underground, because it was a lot, you know. It was way down underground. And
what were they mining?
I don't know. Uranium? I don't know. I know they looked for uranium, but I don't know what they were mining at all. It was a very fascinating. They had a school there, and it was. Then we were 30 minutes from Leadville, Colorado, where they had didn't have gold. I think it was silver. They had silver mines and stuff near Leadville and stuff. There's a lot of historical stuff about that part of the country. It's very fascinating.
What kind of historical stuff?
Oh, there were real rich people like in Leadville and stuff.
Molly Brown?
Huh?
Molly Brown?
Well, yeah. I think Molly Brown was from there. I'm not sure. And then there was another one that they were real rich, and he died, and he told her to hold on to the mine, and it didn't make anything. It just faded out, and she lived in an old shack for years and years, and held on to that mine, and she got very poor, and they were very rich when he died.
She lived there with a donkey, didn't she?
Yeah,
I saw that old shack.
Yeah, but she stayed there the rest of her life because he said stay there. That Leadville was a very interesting place. And then they had another little town not too far from us, but Vail was developing when we moved there. Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of skiers that went up on the mountain. It's a very popular place now. But we lived there 2.5 years, and then Daddy got a transfer to Center Valley, Pennsylvania, with the Zinc Company, with the New Jersey Zinc Company, because the Texaco and New Jersey Zinc Company dissolved. But Daddy didn't realize it. They didn't pay all that much money. But some Western movie tycoon bought that New Jersey Zinc, and they made a lot more money than Daddy made after he left there. Because June and that little boy that you ran around with, she told me that it was a Western movie place that bought that. And she said they made good money after New Jersey Zinc sold it out. Real good money. But we were only 75 miles from New York. And y'all went to Canada while I worked. You, Daddy, and the 3 kids. But I enjoyed Gilman. It was a nice place. You know, it was a real nice place. It was about 2 hours from Denver. They had a bowling alley and all that stuff. Those 2.5 years I lived there, I liked it. And I think you did. Except you quit playing the piano because the Mexicans teased you about girls played the piano. You remember that?
Mm-mm.
Yeah. You had a piano teacher, but the girls, but the Mexican boys teased you about girls played the piano and you quit. And we held that piano to Pennsylvania, and then Daddy sold it. He didn't like it because his mother was she taught herself how to play the piano.
Mm-hmm.
She could play the piano by ear.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it brought back Daddy's memories or something. And he sold that thing. But I bought it for you when you were living in Grand Junction and took lessons for like 2 or 3 years there. And you'd practice. You'd practice the piano. Which I tried to get Marie to play the piano. She played it 2 months and quit. She wasn't interested in it. She didn't like it. But you kept on. You liked Grand Junction because you liked the Halloween. You went Halloweening and stuff. And I thought you were with some older kids and you came home by yourself. Big old bag of candy. Biggest bag I'd ever seen. I thought that was so funny. I mean, it was a big bag. You're supposed to be with somebody, but I guess you took off by yourself. Well, you was always advanced for your age anyway. But I thought Gilman and Vale and Granville was a real nice place. I mean, I'm glad we lived in those different places. Fry Canyon was an interesting place, but I don't think I stayed there but about a year. I think he moved me back to Grand Junction because he worked out of town. He worked there 3 or 4 more years, and then he worked like he'd go traveling to different states, trying to sell ore or look for ore or something, you know.
Uh-huh.
So actually, we didn't see him, but once or twice a month. One time it was 26 days. We didn't see him because he was running all over town, and because it was real hard when he came back because he didn't know how to discipline the kids. He just thought it wasn't his place or something. You know, usually mothers and fathers band together, but he wasn't like that. He didn't band together. I'd say, well, what do you think about this? Well, that's your decision. That's between you and them. He never, I don't know.